I know we're running behind a little bit, so we're going to be crisp and snappy with our panel. And I think we're a nice segue from the last panel too, for those who listened in. Collaboration and partnerships are a defining feature of the FinTech ecosystem. And Xero itself actually solve small business pain points through the Xero platform. So we're talking here about partnerships and collaboration, and we've got the right people to do that with these companies. I'm joined by Paul McCann, who's Xero's head of credit integration, Oriana Tassari, who's head of partnerships at Stripe, and Patrick Rossi, who's also head of partnerships at Waddle. So my name's Catherine Lyle. I sit on several boards, including FinTech Australia. I'm a partner in a venture capital firm. We invest in early stage FinTech, and most of the boards I start on are portfolio companies or ones I've invested in. I also live in a very small coastal town, which we've been able to do post-COVID, and am on the board of the local business chamber. And I've seen in real time the impact this recent crisis has had on small businesses, and actually the effect that you guys as a partnership can have on those businesses in navigating that. So a lot of challenges for everybody. So I'm just going to start with you, Paul. Xero's like a homegrown New Zealand success story that's gone global. Could you just start by talking about Xero's actual financial services strategy?
Yes. Ooh. Apologies all. Good morning. Thanks, Catherine. Great to be here with all of you. 16 years old today. Xero obviously started in New Zealand in Wellington, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. We're now pushing into North America, Canada, South Africa, London. We've just made an acquisition of Waddle. Pat will talk about that very shortly. And more acquisitions, planned A, etc. So we're looking globally now about the adjacencies for small business and how we can use a small business platform to really bring insights to small businesses at the point they need it. And so we're developing both machine learning, AI technology across the data lake to almost actually bring all the insights at the time a small business needs them. So lots happening at a strategic level. I run our credit integration team globally, and I sit across our data lake. So 16 years old, you can imagine every single journal entry, every single bank feed, every single interaction a client has ever had with Xero is the data that we sit on. And so we're now starting to interrogate that data with the view of helping small business. Small business is probably at the beating heart of every Xero globally, and we're really trying to solve cash flow problems for them. I think the pandemic has probably really crystallised in our minds just how bad cash flow is for small businesses in Australia. You know, almost 90% of small businesses have a month every year where they're cash flow negative, and almost 4 months of that year for small business is negative. And so it's very timely that the previous panel was talking about embedded finance, which is highly topical, but it's about how do we actually see that insight, use embedded finance as an insight to help small businesses thrive.
Fantastic. That was very crisp, Paul. Thanks very much. And a lot going on there, right? And I know you probably touch on some of the research later on. So let's focus on the actual collaboration side now. So Pat, Waddle, that's a great story too, right? Now founded in 2015, now part of the Xero story. Could you talk about the synergies between the businesses and how they work?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm very excited to be here. Very keen to share a little bit more about Waddle and what we do and how we're working with Xero post-acquisition. But to start with, I might just talk a little about Waddle's mission. And we really, at the heart of Waddle, we are trying to get more capital into the hands of businesses. And we do this in a couple of different ways. Firstly, we partner with banks and lenders, fintechs, globally to help power their product, essentially. So we work with the likes of CBA in Australia, NatWest in the UK. And essentially, it's the easiest way to explain it, it's their brand, it's their capital, it's their credit policy, it's just our tech under the hood, making it all work for them. So for the banks and lenders that we work with, there's obviously a great opportunity to tap into real-time data that we've got a lot of experience using, but we can also get them into market really quickly in a matter of weeks, in all reality. The second way in which we like to get capital into the hands of small business, Waddle started as a direct lender in Australia. We quickly learnt that our tech's pretty awesome, and we want to license that out. But we still continue to lend in Australia today to businesses, and we really use that as an opportunity to drive a lot of innovation in the segment. So looking at new ways to solve customer pain points, make our operations more efficient or lower credit risk. And then ultimately our desire is that we can offer those product enhancements to our banks and lenders globally so that they benefit from the innovation that we're trying to push in the category. And I'll get into a little bit of that later. Coming back to your sort of original question around the synergy between Xero and Waddle, obviously sort of 2-3 years ago, Xero did a scan of the market to look at how they could solve that pain point of cash flow. There's a couple of different ways they can do that, and working capital is certainly one of those. So they did a scan of the market and identified a Waddle as a really beautiful fit for the Xero organisation. And there's probably 3 reasons for that. The first one is there is a great alignment between the purposes of the organisation. So I think the Xero mission, now I've got to get this right, Paul, otherwise I'll be in trouble, is it's making the lives of people in small business better. And so clearly Paul sort of articulated some of the stats around the cash flow crunches and the strain that they can put on businesses. Waddle, and our partners can actually help solve that by unlocking the value in their invoices. The second, great fit between Waddle and Xero is Waddle's been using the Xero APIs for a number of years. Back, I think 2015, we were one of the first to start tapping into that data. So, being able to use the rich data that's stored within Xero to make credit decisions can make that customer experience really, really easy for a Xero customer to be able to get some finance. And thirdly, there's obviously a great geographic synergy. Everyone probably knows the size of Xero and the scale. I think millions of customers globally, but the key regions still include Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, which are the regions in which Waddle operates. And to give you a bit of insight around the opportunity, I think in FY22 there was 1.3 trillion New Zealand dollars of invoices raised via the Xero platform. So Waddle and our partners, we look at the value of those invoices, and we excited by the opportunity to how we could help customers unlock the funds that are stored in them to turn it into cash, when they need it, so that they can get through those cash flow crunches.
Brilliant, thanks. And I want to come back on that credit risk piece later on for both of you as well, but bring Oriana into it, because it's partnership, and certainly on nearly every FinTech board I'm on, the Xero Stripe partnership goes hand in hand for most businesses. It's great to see that there's great opportunities for founders to grow their business using these type of partnerships, and especially around cash flow, etc. But can you describe how it actually works from a Stripe perspective? Because I know you do more than just this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Stripe Xero partnership is a personal favourite of mine because it's high impact, and we're both extremely aligned around our commitment to serve small businesses, not just locally, but globally. So Stripe is a financial infrastructure platform for businesses of all sizes, and we build software tools to help ambitious companies like Xero really grow their revenue and transform their business. The partnership between Stripe and Xero is long-standing, and it's definitely evolved over time. So it's evolved from initially facilitating billings to embedded finance, and today we partner with Xero for invoice card payments in all markets in which Xero operates. But the partnership started and really centred around a shared goal to help small businesses get paid faster. So through the Stripe Xero partnership, Xero users can offer their customers an option to pay now by credit card or debit card, or also a mobile wallet. And what we're effectively delivering is a seamless, optimised payment experience with simple and convenient ways to pay. And that results in customers being able to get paid globally, get paid faster, up to 14 to 15 days sooner in some cases. And also they're able to streamline recurring payments. So I think the really cool thing about the partnership is that the Xero users actually get access to the same tech that we make available across our client base to big enterprise users, heavyweights like Amazon. Stripe and Xero both have a history of being really tech first, and we both have very flexible APIs. And so it's been really exciting building together to improve the accounting and payment experience for small businesses in Australia and New Zealand and globally, and really to help increase their cash flow and boost conversion.
Yeah, I might just pick up on the sort of the API point and the embedded finance point there. Obviously, the ability to transfer data between two platforms actually can make it easier for the customer to be able to transact where they want. So Waddle and Xero are doing something similar and starting to experiment with embedded finance and look at the ways that we can allow a Xero customer to be able to get a quote within Xero and apply for that a financial product, a lending product within the Xero, making it really easy. And I think Jacob in the last session spoke about how he saw that as a great opportunity to unlock the receivables, and that's essentially, at the moment what we're trying to do, trying to give the customer the option of, hopefully they can get their invoices paid first with Stripe. If not, and they've still got those invoices there, how can they unlock the value with them by using Waddle in Australia? It is in the UK. It is NatWest is a partner of Waddle and Xero working together, and I know Xero's working with other lenders in the UK to try and take that pain point away from a customer having to go and try and find finance, and making it really easy for them to do it in the environment that they want.
Yeah, it's really important. The access to capital is so important for small businesses, whether you're raising capital, which we've got challenges around that right now, or trying to operate a small business. So, Paul, might come back to you because you talked about the finance API that supports lenders during this time. Can you just expand on that for us, please?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. So we've got two APIs which our team looks after on an open platform. That's the accounting API and the finance API. So the accounting API is everything from basic journal data right through to credit notes and invoices. And the finance API was launched last year, and our team actually built that in collaboration with global lenders. And the intent of that Outflow API is to actually surface financial information to a lender to enable them to actually approve a loan. Sometimes that used to take weeks, but with the data in a real-time sense, the API enables a credit decision to be made in minutes. And so I'm working now, as is our team, with about 30 lenders globally about how they can use that API for decision making and transform their credit engine to ingest Xero data.
And you both touched on this credit risk piece, so I'd be keen to, if you can dig in a bit more about how you actually lower that credit risk piece. And certainly with my Wiser hat on, I'm very interested.
Yeah, so I think what we saw through the pandemic was that small, medium enterprises globally found it really hard to access capital. But the root cause was, in fact, that they were relying on accounting data to provide a bank or a non-bank with financial information to approve the deal. And so the pinch point was really the accountants producing financial statements, not access to capital. And so when we actually understood that, we thought, well, how can we actually double jump that and provide real-time data through an API to a lender globally to actually grant access to capital in a real-time way. And from a credit risk perspective, it's about how do we surface financial information as it's happening dynamically, rather than looking at accrual accounting data, which is historic. So bringing that forward enables an SME to access capital quicker.
Yeah, so I think, certainly we're very fortunate being an invoice finance here in Waddle and the partners that we work with that there's so much rich data stored in the accounting platform that, we are very focused on the health of the asset, and the information stored within Xero is very, very, very detailed around invoices, and that's the asset that we look at to understand credit risk. So by us being able to tap into that data and have been able to do that for a long time has made it a lot easier for us to be able to actually underwrite on the strength of the business, not necessarily on the security of a property that the business owner might have.
So data. Let's just talk about that for a little bit, right? Because the phenomenal amounts of data we're all gathering these days, what we do with that, how that supports the businesses right now. Also looking forward a bit. What more can we do with that? So, and how we're ensuring the quality of that. You're getting that golden copy, if you like, who owns it, where it's used. So, Pat, I might start with you because, digitisation of the economy is really impacting this.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of, I think, digitisation of the economy, it's certainly really being driven by quality data and the ability to be able to share that data between partners or platforms can really create better experiences. Something we're really proud of at Wattle is that we think we were one of the first to essentially fund off what we call the single ledger, which is by having a real-time connection into really great quality data that sits within the Xero platform. We could understand the actual position of the business. Most other invoice financing products get a snapshot of the client from 2 weeks ago, and then they wait 3 weeks or another 4 weeks or whatever it is and get another snapshot of what the client is up to. What that means is there's a bunch of manual work. The credit risk from the bank side or from the lender's side, they don't have a full picture. And ultimately what that means for the customer, and still today, if you go to some of the largest invoice financiers in Australia, they won't serve you unless you want to borrow $500,000. Whereas you come to Wattle and we can give you a loan for 10 grand because we've taken away a lot of that manual process and we can really understand the customer's actual position to be able to make those decisions. And it really is based off that quality data. In terms of, I'm probably talking quite a lot, but in terms of what we see coming forward, I know there'll be probably a bunch of talk about open banking, but we certainly see invoicing as something that's really interesting to Wattle. Certainly there's great data within the Xero accounting platform around invoices, but we lose sight of it sort of once it loses that platform, once it loses the Xero platform. So hopefully e-invoicing will be able to close that gap and we'll be able to see that, hey, this invoice was sent from the Xero platform or from a customer's file. It was received by a customer of theirs and hopefully accepted, and that just gives the lender a lot more confidence that isn't a disputed invoice or a fraudulent invoice, and they can lend against that with a lot more confidence.
And that confidence and trust is really what this is all about, right? Oriana, do you want to talk about the data?
Yeah, I think a big part of data quality is also relevance. So presenting the right data at the right time in the right context to enable effective decision making. And there are a couple of examples that come to mind. So starting with the Xero Stripe partnership, there's actually a new capability, the Xero Stripe app in the Stripe app marketplace. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but what that is effectively is pulling or automating a data feed from Xero into Stripe so that users of both Stripe and Xero, if they're already in the Stripe context, can see their bank account balances, their cash position, their bills and invoices without having to switch between apps. And the same is true the other way around. So Stripe has a feed into Xero so that every time a payment is made with Stripe, either via the invoice product or on an e-commerce store, that appears as a separate line item in Xero, and it facilitates easy reconciliation, and the user has a holistic view of their position. So I think that's really important in terms of data quality, presenting data in the right context, and that is convenient for the client. But the other element that comes to mind is protection, fraud protection, which is a big part of Stripe's business. So actually, if for any given card payment processed on Stripe, there's an 86% chance that we've already seen it. We process payments in over 190 countries around the world, all different types of industries and business models. And so we have machine-learned algorithms that are powered by the millions of businesses that we serve, the billions of dollars that they process every year. And that allows us to serve up really data-rich insights to our clients so that they can make really good decisions and protect and prevent fraud and ultimately get better client outcomes.
Fantastic. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll put my patriotic Australian hat on. There's probably 2.5 million small businesses in Australia. Xero's currently got about 1.4 million subscribers in the small business space, so a very high portion. This year, unlike any, has been the most challenging that we've seen. Ukraine war, supply side issues, rising global interest rates, and that's creating a hell of a lot of psychological anxiety, and we're seeing that in businesses. And so Xero wants to do everything it can to actually take those pain points away that we can to enable small business to thrive. Why? Because when that happens, Australia thrives.
So let's have a look at part of the tech, right? So Pat, maybe you can talk about Waddle Flex, because that's actually one of the items that's solving for this.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, excuse me, it's important to note that, you know, technology really needs to drive product enhancements. So you don't want to build tech just for tech's sake, essentially. So what we've been doing, at Waddle, we've identified a customer pain point that exists with invoice financing, and that is that if you sign up for a new invoice financing facility, you're asking your customers to pay into a new bank account traditionally. So you'll have to email all of your debtors. You might have 10, 50, 100 debtors and say, hey, I've got a new bank account. And the reason that is so that typically the invoice financing would control the funds. We don't like that process. We want to avoid that pain point for customers. So we've recently launched a new product called Waddle Flex. Essentially, we use our analytics to detect payments as they come into the bank account and pull the money out of the trading account. So the customer goes on using their normal trading account, debtors just pay into that, but we still get the repayment as if it happens, as if it happened directly into a trust account. We've also been working with a partner of ours, a banking partner of ours, to help them launch a new product that addresses that problem in a different way. I think it's pretty cool. Essentially, they are taking all of our risk controls, which work out how much a lender is happy to lend against the assets, being the invoices, and they're attaching that to a transaction account. So it essentially creates an overdraft with a flexible limit. So no need to update any bank details with your customers when you sign up for invoice financing. And then also, you don't even need to do a drawdown. If you don't have the money to make your next payroll, you just make the payment, your account goes into negative, you've got the invoices there to be able to support it. So it's a nice, really easy and flexible product for the customer. For the bank, they get additional risk controls because they can actually have a live feed in understanding of the invoices and the assets which they're lending against.
Yeah, and I think just like in trading in markets, that real-time data is all important in managing that. Look, Stripe, you mentioned before, across all these countries globally, just let's take it back a bit on the macro perspective, because we've had a lot of challenges that Paul talked about early on, and especially with wars, supply-driven inflation, etc. From Stripe's perspective, how's the uncertainty in the global economy impacting business?
Yeah, to be honest with you, our clients never waste a good crisis. We're continuing to see them invest in the internet economy and really find success in the current macroeconomic conditions. And we think that is because the long-term fundamentals of the internet economy and Stripe as a business remain unchanged. If we think about the volume of consumer spending globally at the moment, I think less than 12% occurs online today. So that's a lot of runway, a lot of room to grow. But I think the markets that are going to recover best are really ones that are open to new technology and that really have a focus on transcending international borders and supporting their business community to engage in global commerce. And Stripe's definitely here for that journey where, it's what we do. So I think we're really well positioned to continue to partner with organisations like Xero to really innovate and provide benefits to consumers and users throughout the economic cycle.
So we might, looking at this genuine partnership, we might kind of start to wrap up now. Has anyone got a burning question? I know we don't get much chance. We've got only a few minutes left, but if I don't see a hand up, we'll go straight on. So, Paul, Xero's vision, very strong right from the start. It's revolutionised the way small businesses operate, right? And the partnerships here, the way we're doing things. Why don't you, we'll start with Pat, and then I want you to have the last word on this. So if you've got any last things you'd like to say about what's happening here, and then Oriana, and then we'll finish with Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly from our point of view, it's been great being part of the Xero family as part of an acquisition. You know, there's a huge opportunity there just to, you know, solve some of the customer problems that, you know, actually really do affect people in small business, and so we're keen to be part of that. You know, with the economic uncertainty coming, we're still really confident that we'll be able to serve them. Invoice financing has typically been a product that performs well in uncertain times because we look at the underlying assets. So, yeah, we're definitely keen to continue to work, you know, with Xero to be able to make the lives of small businesses easier.
Platforms are really amplifiers of entrepreneurship. So I expect and am excited to see where the Xero and Stripe partnership goes, and I think we'll continue to innovate together and do some really exciting things.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about the amplification effect of the ecosystem of the partnerships that we have. We do have a mission to create a single platform that small business spend their lives in the Xero platform. That's a mission and a vision and very idealistic. I think in the runway, though, it's about the partnerships and actually solving small business problems. Why? That makes the global economy better.
Well, you're off to a good start. That tricky, sticky stuff that all small businesses have to work on, it's a great path. Look, thank you, everybody, for listening. Please thank our panel, and everyone will be around afterwards for questions.